There's a myth that needs to be busted amongst many people, I think, that still exists out there and pervades across, many societies across the world, is that medicine is an exact science. And it's not an exact science like, say, physics or chemistry. It's an applied science. It's a science of human beings. Human beings are complex. Human beings are dynamic. And, one of the things we're taught in medical school is that 50% of what you learn will turn out to be either outdated or dead wrong within 5 years of your graduation. The trouble is nobody can tell you which half. So you have to learn on your own. And I think one of the interesting things I noticed during this whole pandemic, which concerned me, is Anthony Fauci coming out consistently saying, trust the science. That's probably one of the most unscientific statements I've ever heard in my life.
No,
Anthony Fauci saying that. It doesn't make any sense. It's nonsense. There's
right.
always an uncertainty attached to this stuff. Things change and evolve. And I think that was exploitation of people's false beliefs of what modern medicine does and what modern medicine can achieve. And, there's no doubt that we've achieved many great things, certainly in acute care. But if you look back over the last couple of decades, Bret, we know, for example, from analysis by Marcia Angel, former editor of New York Journal of Medicine, between 2000 and 2008, of the 667 drugs approved by the FDA, only 11% were found to be truly innovative. 75% were essentially copies of old ones. We've had, certainly in the UK, and I think that it's similar in the US, it may even be getting worse, we've had a stalling in life expectancy for the last decade, combined with an increasing burden of chronic disease. So people are living longer in sickness. So that in itself should be an indication that there's clearly something wrong with the medical system. And at the heart of that is this over-medicated population and lack of attention to the simple stuff, which is actually leading a healthy life through lifestyle. Good health doesn't, we need to get this message into the minds of the American public. Good health does not come out of a medicine bottle.
This is beautifully said and fits so perfectly with the evolutionary implications, right? And you quite correctly diagnosed the problem. And what the argument I've made is that we inferred the rules of science from the simple sciences, from the fundamental sciences, chemistry and physics, because that's where our big early gains came. And we've misunderstood how to apply it in the context of a complex system. It doesn't work, right? If you take the approach as if it was a simple system, then you might well have the idea that, this person has a pathology. The obvious thing to do is to apply a compound that interfaces with the particular pathway in which that pathology emerges. But if you do that, how many other things are you interfering with, right? The chances that you're going to do that at low cost are actually surprisingly low. And the right way to deal with these things is almost always to figure out what the source of the issue is and to correct what you're calling the lifestyle issue that causes it. Now, sometimes it's too late, and sometimes you got to take a drug to, basically it functions like a corrective lens. But the long and short of it is pharma has a perverse incentive to get us to take more drugs and to think that that's normal. And not only is the human being a complex system, but it's a nested series of complex systems. In the case of COVID, you were dealing with the immune system, which is a complex system of its own. Inside a human being, another complex system, inside a society in which an epidemic is taking place, a third complex. It's a nested series of complex systems. The chances of intervening and, coming out way ahead are pretty low. And the chances of your coming out way ahead, if what you do is you intervene on the basis of some simplistic conclusion and then you don't track the impact of it, the chances are essentially zero, right? Yeah. That was going to be a disaster just from the get-go.